the way he angles his body, where he puts all of his body weight on his left hand and just extends just enough to just scrape the pylon. Those are the plays that decide Super Bowls. That's why every single time, I always talk about it, guys, at the beginning of the season, if the team is just good enough around Patrick Mahomes, I'm going to pick the Chiefs to win the Super Bowl. That isn't something that should just be done every week. No one in the history of football makes plays like this every week outside of Patrick Mahomes.
I want to thank all the talking heads and all the doubt. Yep. Keep it coming. Like, all it does is anytime you can give petty Mahomes the motivation, bro, I'm all for it. That's why I was excited when, all these people were saying these things. It's like, bro, let's go.
Yeah.
If I'm feeling boosted and juiced by it, can you imagine what he's feeling?
We are live, therefore it is time. It is Chattin' Up the Chiefs postgame show. I'm your host, Lance Twidwell, here with my co-host, Trevor Twidwell, and the 9-year NFL veteran, Vaughn Booker. I hope you guys are ready, because we're about to have ourselves a very honest conversation. The Chiefs lose today in Denver by a score of 24-9. And to be honest with you, it didn't even feel that close. The Chiefs have some real problems here, guys. And before we get to that, and trust me, we're going to get to plenty of it, and you're going to get all three of our opinions in a very detailed manner, I hope that you guys get in the chat today, because I know a lot of people have talked on both sides of this argument when it comes to certain things of this team going into this season, and I want to hear from both of you. Because Vaughn, Trevor, I was right, and I hate that I was. Going into this season, I told everybody, that this team has a problem at wide receiver. This is an unproven bunch. It is an unproductive bunch, and they are missing a reliable wide receiver one. And that was on full display today. Yes, Patrick Mahomes had the flu, and he was not on his game like he normally is. Yes, Donovan Smith struggled at left tackle today a little bit. That is very true. And yes, Travis Kelce didn't play like he normally does. But what have I been telling you guys all damn season? The man is 34 years old. For you to expect him to go out there and put up 150 yards a game is simply unrealistic. And it's unrealistic to expect a rookie second-round wide receiver to go out there and put up 75 to 100 yards a game too. He can't be the second most reliable guy in this receiving room. And you saw on full display why that was. He had an open midfield throw put right on the money, and he dropped it. He could have probably taken that one to the house. And we finally have to address something. Sky Moore is a bust. Maybe that's my opinion. Trevor might have a differing one. Vaughn might have his own. And they're going to explain that in a second. But I'm here to look you guys in the eyes right now and tell you that Sky Moore is a bust. This is now his 25th regular season game. He has one touchdown. He had one catch for 8 yards and dropped a potential game-changing touchdown that Patrick Mahomes put on the absolute money. Despite his inadequacies tonight, despite having to scramble around, it looked like Super Bowl 55 out there again. Still put the ball on the money. Gave Sky Moore an opportunity to make himself known, to put himself on the map tonight, to say, wow, well, hey, you know what? Sky Moore showed us something tonight, and that's what we'd be doing right now. Win or loss, we'd be saying Sky Moore made a big play. Maybe they can build upon that. This is the exact thing I was telling you guys just a week ago on this show when Trev, Book, and I were sitting here going, man, this is awesome to see the Chiefs out there clicking. MVS is making a play. It just seems like everything's real fluid and easy. But then we had to be truthful at the same time and say, well, they're playing an historically bad pass defense in the Chargers. That has to be accounted for. You can't just say, oh, everything's fixed because they played so well. Because if you look at the 2 games this season, the Chiefs played so well. It was against 2 of the worst defenses they faced this season. But here's the confusing thing. The Broncos are literally the worst defense in the league right now, ranked 32nd. Well, not anymore after that game. But in 8 quarters against the Broncos this season, the Chiefs' offense has 1 touchdown. Can anybody please explain this to me? Because I can't, for the life of me, understand how that's happening and how it's acceptable. But I can break down certain theories. How about the fact that our legendary head coach can't get out of his own damn way with these horrific play calls on 3rd and short? These backwards dump screens, these shovel passes the league has been seeing from the Chiefs for 4 years now. They know it's coming, and they still get cute in the red zone. They still get cute in 3rd downs, and it's costing the Chiefs touchdowns, and it's now costing them games. Again, Patrick wasn't at his best tonight, but it is unfair to expect your quarterback to have to be at his absolute best every single game. It's also unfair to expect your defense to hold opponents to under 21 points a game just to survive. This is the most points the defense have given up this season, and half of them weren't even on them. 24 total points, and the Chiefs got smacked. Scoring no red zone touchdowns again for the four quarters. No red zone touchdowns against this defense. They were talking about trading pieces off before this game. Isaiah Pacheco's getting chunk yards in the run game, and they go away from him in the red zone. None of it makes sense. And now the Chiefs have to look at, and they were already looking at it from the looks of this game, going into Berlin, Germany, and having to take on a high-powered, high-octane offense in the Miami Dolphins. That they circled this game just as much as the Chiefs did because they know it means something to Tyreek Hill. He wants to make a statement against his former team that in his eyes gave up on him and traded him away. Didn't want to pay him what he felt he was worth. But the point remains, and the point that I've been saying the entire time is more valid and more relevant than it has ever been. And that is that the Chiefs have a wide receiver problem. It is clear and it is evident that Patrick Mahomes does not have a reliable enough wide receiver room, let alone a wide receiver just one, that he can rely on a consistent basis. It's Travis Kelce and it's everybody else. Maybe Rashee Rice will become that guy. But if we know anything about this league, and especially in Andy Reid's offense, it's going to take him some time. You can't expect this kid to be going out there getting 1,400 yards and 9 touchdowns. That's just not within the confines of reality. He can have big moments, big spurts, hell, even big games. But you can't expect him to string along 4 or 5 consecutive games in a row. There's development that has to take shape. The Chiefs have to, before the trade deadline, make a move and make it move fast. I don't know who it's going to be. I've given you guys my opinion. We just had a guy that I've been talking about for about 8 months now, and DeAndre Hopkins, have a career game today. Scored 3 touchdowns with a rookie quarterback throwing him the ball in a big win. So maybe the Titans will change their mind and may not want to trade him. But regardless of who it's going to be, the Chiefs got to go shopping this week because Brett Veach can't sit on his hands. Because you know what he did? He sat on his hands this offseason and relied and rested on his laurels and expected these young, unproven guys to carry a wide receiver room that very much needed a proven commodity there. I'm frustrated beyond belief. I think this is the most embarrassing loss in the Mahomes era. This is including that 2021 loss to the Titans when they lost 27-3, because this is a divisional foe that you have absolutely owned. They've had 5 consecutive games in Denver where they've scored at least 27 points. They scored 9. This is unacceptable. This is a horrific loss. This is not something that we're going to sit here and allow just to, it's okay, guys. They can find a way to bounce back. This team's got a legitimate problem because it isn't just this game. It isn't just the Broncos game. They've struggled in the red zone all season. They have struggled at 3rd and long all season. They have struggled at wide receiver all season outside of playing historically bad defenses. You're not going to be facing them in the postseason. The Chiefs just took a massive L today in more ways than one. Book, I want to start with you. What did you take away from this game today?
I mean, seriously, I think you covered every base of this game. I mean, I agree almost with everything you said. I think Veach is really definitely under the hot seat this week, with this being the last week of the trade deadline. We definitely need a number 1 receiver in that receiver room to lead that those young kids. I mean, they still very young. I know we've gotten away with that in other positions, having young players step up sometime throughout the year, but to have a room full of young guys, nobody's really proven themselves. We need a veteran, a go-to guy, number 1 guy up in that room, and without him, we're going to continue to struggle in that area. I think our offensive line, they didn't show up today. I think both tackles really had it rough today. They got a lot of pressure from us. Pat was under duress fairly quickly, so I give our offensive line probably a D. I mean, it was really bad from my perspective. Defensively, I'll give them a little slight, little handshake because of the time of possession. Anytime you're going to have your defense on the field that long, regardless of what kind of defense it is, it's going to break down. It's going to stretch out to try to become a long normal as opposed of, every once in a while we hitting and getting home with it. We were just on the field way too long. For us to only have one possession in the fourth quarter of the second half, that was just embarrassing, really. So we got a lot of work. Miko didn't really have anything great today, fumbled that punt or whatever, and then just bad decisions. He even at the wide receiver position, I think he had one look. I think he dropped it, if I remember correctly. But nobody really stood out offensively, defensively, or special teams. So it was a great win for Denver. Like we always say, everybody who plays us, they treat it like their Super Bowl. I know Denver really is going to enjoy this one, with the consecutive wins that we had over those guys. So everything you said, I agree with. I think we can end the show after Trevor.
Yes, please. Can we please? Man, yeah, for me, I give the defense a complete pass today. Anytime you keep your defense on the field for 85% of the game, I mean, and you're spotting teams in the red zone, or at least in our territory every single time, what is the defense supposed to do? I mean, our defense had 6 or 7 sacks today. I thought our linebackers, as far as, Willie Gay, hopefully he's okay. We sustained some injuries today with Willie Gay going out, but I thought Tranquil was making crazy good plays. Chanel looked incredible today. Karlaftis, my goodness, Karlaftis is coming alive. This is having his best season. 2 sacks today for Karlaftis. He looks great. Our defense, I give them 100% a complete pass today. I know we had some, they were definitely picking on Snead today. He was grabby. He was a little too grabby today for my liking, but there was some 50-50 balls that looked like push-offs to me from the offense, if I'm being honest. Cortland Sutton was pushing off all day. They gave him one, and then they got one on Snead the second time. They were set up to fail today. Pat was awful. Our offensive line was not good enough, but Pat was holding onto the ball way too long, not getting rid of it when he should have. I get it. Pat had the flu. It's tough to even get out of bed when you got the flu, man, and I get it. Going to play in a football game at the quarterback position alone. Yeah. I can imagine what he's probably feeling. He probably feels weak. I could tell. On Pat's throws, there was not a lot behind him. That Sky Moore throw, that Sky Moore dropped to the end there, Pat put everything he had on that throw, and he got it there, and Sky dropped it. There's absolutely a wide receiver problem. There's trust issues from Pat to these wide receivers. Outside of Rashee Rice, who still looks good, but had some issues. MVS fumbling the ball away. Just completely changing the momentum when we were gaining momentum offensively. The momentum right back to the Broncos again when he fumbled that ball away. Just mishaps all over the place. But yeah, let's talk about it, man. We talk about the lack of confidence in these receivers from Pat. Not trusting these guys, and that's warranted for sure. It shows on the tape. It shows on the film every single week. He's got 3 guys maybe that he throws to. We have to bring back Watson early on an injury just to get him out there and make plays because Pat trusts him. He was making some plays when he was out there, but he could barely play and stay on the field today because he's still banged up. I think we have issues trusting this offensive line. I mean, how can I not address that at this point? We're getting in the red zone. We never run it. That's not trusting the offensive line to go win in the trenches and run the ball and get in the end zone. Why are we not giving Pacheco the ball in the red zone? Or do we not trust this offensive line to push and win those battles up front and get some gaps and get Pacheco into the end zone? Because Pacheco, we know, is going to be 100 miles an hour every time. But every time you get out there, there was 3 offensive trips in the red zone today where Pacheco wasn't even on the field. That makes no sense to me. I know we got McKinnon in there for some pass pro, but why do we not have one of our best weapons offensively this year, on a consistent basis, weekly basis, and Pacheco, who's been great this year, having a career year, not even on the field in the red zone? That shows lack of trust in the offensive line to go push and win in the trenches. So we got more than just a wide receiver problem, I think, on this offense, man. And it's I can't put everything on Pat, but Pat was very bad today. Maybe the worst performance I think I've ever seen out of Pat. Out of a straight up loss. We weren't outmatched. This wasn't a team that anyway should have outmatched us, and they absolutely just de-pantsed us in front of the world. It's hard to accept that loss today, to be honest with you. When we know we are so much better than this team. Russell Wilson didn't even have 120 passing yards today, but he had 3 touchdowns because we were gifting him red zone trips over and over and over again. You don't win those kind of games, man. You just don't win them when you're muffing punts and throwing picks and fumbling the ball and, running backwards when you do get the punt caught by McCole. McCole had a rough day today. After having that welcome home warm feeling last week and then falling right back to earth, this one it's hard to watch as a Chiefs fan, especially losing to the Broncos. You never want to lose to the Broncos, but at the same time, football is a tough sport. It's an any given Sunday sport, and I get that. And this record against them was bound to come to an end, but not like this. We lose a game-winning field goal against them, and they somehow get that victory that way by 3 or so. But getting blown out, this being Pat's first loss, divisional loss on the road in his career, which is an impressive streak as well. But those streaks all got to come to an end. But just the way we lost is very worrisome. I have faith in this. I have faith in this coaching staff. I have faith in Pat to obviously be great the rest of the year, finishing off this year. But we have an absolute issue with running the ball consistently in the red zone, finishing plays in the red zone, getting too cute consistently. We all see it coming. You don't think these guys that are paid to be defensive coordinators see it coming? If we know what's coming? So there is an issue, man. If Pat's not trusting his receivers, we're not trusting our offensive line, I don't trust this team right now to go finish drives against this terrible defense in the Broncos. So kudos, hats off to the Broncos, man. They got their win. This was their Super Bowl for sure this year. This is going to be their most notable win absolutely this year, and they're going to go ahead and finish this year and miss the playoffs, and we got bigger things to worry about. But we got the Dolphins right around the corner, and if we have a performance in any semblance to what we saw today, we are going to get absolutely destroyed by the Dolphins. So we got some shit we got to get together and get together quickly.
Well, and Book, I'll say this because I think Trevor's point about how this game went and how they lost, that's the real worry. Because yes, eventually streaks always come to an end. We've seen bad teams beat the dynasty Patriots. We've seen massive upsets every single week of every single season. It happens. But it's the way it happens. And when you, like Trevor said, when you're not converting on third down, the Chiefs were 30% on third down today, 3 of 10. And, you're right, Trevor, about Patrick Mahomes not playing his best. But here's the thing. There is context to it. Because even as bad as he was in large chunks of this game, there was very few opportunities he really had because the offense didn't have the ball a lot this game, especially in the second half, like Book mentioned. But it's also the fact that you have a dropped touchdown. You have a humongous play from Rashee Rice that would have gone at least 40, 50 yards, gotten him in field goal range, and that would have been another scoring drive because Harrison Butker is an absolute nails, best kicker in the league.
So good, man.
But it's also the fact that you have your most expensive receiver who finally had himself a game last week and follows it up with a performance like today where he puts the ball on the damn ground, now has as many fumbles lost as he does have touchdowns on the season. That man's making $11 million this year. That's MVS. Some call him MVS. Maybe me, maybe not. The point is, that's where the Chiefs are now at. If they want to ignore it, that's fine. They want to sit here and say they're fine at wide receiver, that's fine. But they're lying. They know better. Because you know why I know they know better? Because we know better. Because all three of us just agreed. Booker's a former football player. Trevor and I've been watching football for over 30 years. And Trevor and I are definitely not more intelligent than those guys. But we know it, so you know they do. And that's the problem we have here. The Chiefs have a fork in the road. They have choices to make right here. Because if they don't add anything to this offense before the trade deadline, they're not serious about trying to get this Super Bowl. Could they still find a way to get it done? Yeah. But there's going to be a lot that's going to have to go in their favor in order for that to happen. Because this offense is simply not good enough. It's simply not good enough. Unless you're expecting Travis Kelce to be the all-pro, 100-plus yard, 1 touchdown, 2 touchdown guy per game, which is just completely unfair for a guy at his age, this offense is not going to click. Because, when Travis is doing his thing, it seems to open up. It seems to look easy. How often is that going to be the case, especially when you start facing these tougher opponents like the Eagles, the Dolphins, the Bills, the Bengals? Teams are going to be coming for your throat because they know that you're the one that stands in the way of them getting out of the AFC, them winning a Super Bowl. And to Trevor's point about the offensive line, could not agree more. Are we so certain? Because a lot of you guys were talking so arrogantly this offseason when I was the one that was saying the Chiefs need to keep Orlando Brown. Are we sure that Donovan Smith's an upgrade? Are you guys going to tell me that? You remember when I told you guys that Jawan Taylor made $80 million, getting paid like a left tackle, playing right tackle? This guy better bring it. Has he brought it? I mean, you guys tell me. I've been the one that's been standing on my ground the whole time. You guys have been telling me what is and what isn't. 2 months into the season, you guys happy with what you're seeing? I'm not. And this is exactly what I saw coming down the pipe. Do I think this team can still win the Super Bowl? Yes. But I also said that they need to make some moves here and there for that to happen. And they haven't made those moves yet. This team has real problems. I hate to break it to you because I know a lot of you guys love watching the Chiefs because it's an outlet from your reality. I get it. Football's fun, man, especially when the team's winning. But you guys can't come to me today and say, Lance, they're 7-1. Doesn't matter. No, because they took an L today. They're 6-2. They no longer control their own destiny at the 1 seed. They might still roll away with this AFC West because that's the AFC West is ass. The AFC isn't. You saw the Bengals put on a show today in San Francisco. They mean business. They stay healthy, this team's going to be for real. The Bills, I don't think they're a great team. They're a good team, and they've played well against the Chiefs over these last few years. There are teams out there, guys, that smell blood in the water, and the Chiefs are the ones that are pouring it by the gallons, and they're showing teams they have a weakness, and that weakness was on full display today. So that's where I'm at. I'm very frustrated. This is going to be a very long week because things do not get any easier for the Chiefs. Because it isn't just the Dolphins game. On the other side of the world, by the way, this was supposed to be a home game for the Chiefs. Nope, that's going to be over in Berlin, Germany now. And it's going to be an early one. And Patrick Mahomes has already been dealing with a sickness. Let's see what the Chiefs do this next week, man, because these next 48 hours or so are pivotal for what happens for the Chiefs moving forward. Because the Eagles made a big move, getting Byard out of that secondary. Wasn't a great game for the Eagles today, but they still pulled out a victory against a divisional foe. These teams are coming for the Chiefs, man, more than ever. They have weaknesses, and they're on display. The Chiefs need to finalize them, figure them out, and figure out what's going to go on. So, Book, final thoughts from you. I want to get your final take because I know we all agree the defense played well today overall. I mean, they were set up for failure more times than not today by the offense, by McCole Hardman. I have to admit that. McCole's my guy, but he muffed a punt. And I don't know why they even had him taking a ball in from the 5-yard line. You let that crap bounce every time. I don't know why he was even there.
The worst timing possible, too.
Worst timing possible. They made a humongous stop. Yeah. Leo Chenal, I think, had the sack. Caught him out of field goal range. Everything's feeling good. Like, the Chiefs can just, if they move the ball here, they can get back in this game. This could be a game. And we've seen the Chiefs do it. They didn't do it. And now we're sitting here against a team, like I said, the Dolphins. They're feeling good about themselves, just swept the Patriots. I think 6-0 against Bill Belichick. You know they're feeling good about this coming into this game. They got Jalen Ramsey back this week. He's healthy. Xavier Howard's supposed to be back. They're going to start clicking. We're catching the Dolphins at a really bad time, and the Dolphins are catching the Chiefs at a really good time. Book, 2 things. Give us your final thoughts on what do you think first of all, I want to ask you, do you think the Chiefs will make a move? If they do, what do you want to see them do before the trade deadline? And 2, as we always do, we finish off our show with Book It with Book. I know we're frustrated right now, but the Chiefs do have a very good chance of still beating this Dolphins team. And we're not trying to be doom and gloom here. This Chiefs team can go into Berlin and beat that Dolphins team. They can. Will they? We can discuss that on the Spoken Podcast next Saturday. Catch us there at 11 a.m. Eastern or 11 a.m. Central Standard Time. But I'm giving this to Book. What do you want to see them do? Do you think they do anything? Do you think that Veach has the balls to pull the trigger and make a move that this team absolutely has to have, absolutely needs to make? Or do you think he sits back and then give us your prediction for the Chiefs-Dolphins?
As much as I know everybody thinks Veach needs to make a move, I don't think he will. Quite honestly, I think he feels good with the team that he has, and he's going to try to prove a point that he's always right. And most of the picks that he's had, he's been pretty good at it. So I think he's going to stay confident in the choices that he's picked already for us. Stick to those guys. Hope that those guys somehow turn this thing around. But I don't think it's going to happen in time. I think against Miami next week, we're going to struggle. We're going to struggle bad. They're going to take advantage of that. Our defense is probably going to be the only key factor that's going to look any resemblance of what we want from our Kansas City Chiefs. And I think they're going to keep us in the game long enough to where eventually they just been on the field too long and just got too many snaps under their belt to where they're going to fold. And I think we're going to fall to the Miami Dolphins and lose by 10.
That's the realities of the situation sometimes, man. It's not always fun to predict Chiefs games, but when they put stuff on film, you have to react to it accordingly. And I appreciate Book's honesty, because that's currently how I'm feeling too. I'd love for the Chiefs to go up to Berlin and, make history, because, the Chiefs are trying to set a foundation out there and get Chiefs fans and build a nucleus, a community out there so they can start having more games out there. It could be a letdown. That's just the realities of this, guys, and that's what we're doing here at Chatting Up the Chiefs. We keep it real. That's why Book's here, man, because this guy's lived it. He's been a part of it. He's been in those trenches. He's seen the good. He's seen the bad. And he's seen the ugly. And that's why I appreciate his honesty here, because that's how I'm feeling right now too. We'll see what a week does, but right now, it's a kind of a crappy situation for the Chiefs to have, because again, losses are going to happen. Losses are going to take place. But that way, against that team, nah. It leaves a really bad taste in my mouth. But
well, I want to say this real quick. Go ahead, Trevor. We just watched everyone who was just a few weeks ago claiming the best team in football, not in either division in football. The Niners just lost their third straight game today. This is a tough sport, man. This is this loss today was unacceptable. I understand that 100%. This is a game where this has got to be a pivotal game here. Something's got to change after this performance. So as for me, as Chiefs Kingdom, who all witnessed this debacle today, we should not beg, but we should push for change as well. We should want and hope that the leadership of this team changes something that we see on tape moving forward. And I think that should start obviously in a massive matchup in Germany against the Dolphins. We need to see some different things as far as what we do in the red zone. And I think we should expect that. If we don't see anything different, we see the same old vanilla stuff in the red zone and not running the ball enough in the red zone when things get tight, not depending on our trusting our running backs and our offensive line. So that's an issue moving forward. So this for me is just like a PSA for this Chiefs team. I think they know it just as much as we do. If we see it on film, they see it on film that much more, because they got to sit there and go through the pain of watching that film over again, and that's not going to be fun for those guys. So this is a tough sport. This is a moment for us, our guys, to regroup, figure things out offensively. If we need to stop rotating so many bodies in wide receiver and just keep the three guys that Pat trusts the most in the field consistently for 90% plus of the snaps, I'm fine with that. I'm done throwing the ball to Sky Moore. I'm done trying to get him to become something. Get him off the field if he's not producing, because he's on the field way too much if he's just going to be a decoy. It's pissing me off. I'm tired of it. We got to figure something out offensively. If we need to throw the ball 15 times to Rashee Rice and get production out of our wide receivers, do that. I'm tired of this Sky Moore stuff. This experiment's done. I'm over it. I was big on him coming into this season, but if you want to have him every once in a while as a possession guy, cool. Get the ball to the guys that produce. It's frustrating, man. This something's got to change, and if it doesn't change, it is what it is. But like I said, though, back to my Niners point, they were crowned the first quarter of the season as the best team in football, and they've dropped 3 straight. We lost. We just won 6 in a row. So it's tough losing these divisional games, but it's a long season ahead. We got to regroup, and I expect the leadership in this championship caliber leadership of this team via Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid and Travis Kelce and the guys we know that have been there and done that to get it together. I expect changes. I'm just all that being said, just say this: I expect changes to happen, whether it's roster moves, whether it's a free agent signing, whether it's going to get somebody, whether it's whatever it is. We need to see change, and I expect changes to come. So,
well said, well put. Well, that's all we have for you guys, man. And we appreciate you, because I know that it's probably very difficult for you to – the last thing you probably want to do is sit here and listen to people, go off about the Chiefs right now, because after losses, it's good sometimes to detach and just kind of take a break from it all. But you guys hung tough. You hung with us tonight. And why the hell wouldn't you guys want to anyway? Because our guy Vaughn Booker is here, and it's always fun to hang with Book, man. It's always a good time. But we're gonna hold our stogies back this week, guys. I think because Trev Book and I'm gonna end this with an optimistic viewpoint. Trevor and I have 2 stogies sat to the side, literally to my right now, and I think we're gonna be lighting those in the next couple of months with Book on this very show. We're gonna be celebrating. We're gonna look back at some of these bad episodes, like Week 1 against the Lions, that frustrating loss, and this very frustrating loss to the Broncos, and we're gonna look back and say this team made some changes. And now we're sitting here looking at a team that's about to go to another Super Bowl. I'm choosing optimism here. I mean, we're real. We have to criticize the team when it's right to do so. But we hold these stogies for a reason, because Book and I and Trevor, we deserve to light these bad boys up, because we've yet to do it. But we're going to do it soon enough. And when we do, I hope you guys all do it with us. But in the meantime, let's get through this week together. Trevor and I, we host the Spoken every Saturday at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time. But guys, the party doesn't stop there. It doesn't even begin there. We have our daily conversations on Facebook on The Spoken and at The Spoken Pod on Twitter or X. You guys can always chime in there and talk with us on YouTube as well. We want to keep the party going with you guys because we know that this is something that's important to all you guys. Otherwise, why the hell would you be here? But in the meantime, for Trevor, for Mr. Vaughn Booker, I'm Lance Twidwell. This is the Chattin' Up the Chiefs postgame show. Y'all have a great week. We'll see you in 7 days.
Later.
All right, now. Take care, fellas.